The fight to create jobs, it's a big one and an ongoing battle for the White House and for individual states all across the country. Today, the United States Chamber of Commerce, an hour and 10 minutes from right now, along with the National Chamber Foundation, is bringing together a bipartisan group of governors to do just that, figure out how to create jobs across the country and revive the economy, because we really need it. Joining us right now are a couple of those governors. We've got Wisconsin's Scott Walker, screen left, right in the center square, Virginia's Bob McDonnell, and screen right, Colorado's John Hickenlooper. Good morning, governors. Thanks for joining us today.
Morning.
Good morning. Good
Morning,
to be
Steve.
with you.
Thanks.
All right, Governor McDonnell, you didn't have to draw. You actually are in your own neck of the woods there in Washington, D.C., with Virginia just across the way. When we look at the unemployment rates for your three states, we see that they are all below the national average, but yours is actually at 6%, the lowest. What are you going to tell your fellow governors today about how to create jobs?
Well, you know, there's real competition between us governors for jobs, and I think that's the way our founders expected these laboratories of democracies to be. And I think what we've tried to do is just some of the basics: keep taxes, regulation, litigation low, keep a good right-to-work laws, strengthen our universities, and then create the incentives such as tax credits for companies that come to Virginia, a Governor's Opportunity Fund to provide cash for assistance in relocating to our state, trade offices abroad,
right.
And just do everything you can to promote job creation and get the bureaucracy out of the way. That's worked in Virginia, and I think a lot of other governors are doing the same thing.
Sure. And speaking of a lot of other governors, I know a lot of governors, it sounds like, are running for president right now, and some people have been talking about Rick Perry. Governor Walker, when you look at what they're doing down in Texas, apparently Texas has added, I think they have added as many jobs there as the other 49 states combined. Mm-hmm. When you look at what you're doing in Wisconsin, what are you going to suggest is the best idea you've got?
Well, in fact, I take both Bob and Rick. In fact, I use their slogan. In our case, we say Wisconsin's open for business. I know Bob's put that up on his state line, but it's more than just a sign or symbolism. It's about changing the business climate. So in our case, we went from being ranked 41 a year ago to rank 24. We're moving up, trying to get to the level where Virginia and Texas and some of the other top states are. It's the business climate.
Sure.
Taxes, regulation, litigation. Make sure you got strong infrastructure and a great education system, right. And it makes it good for your employers. We got a long ways to go. We're hoping to learn from some of the other governors.
Well, let's learn from Governor Hickenlooper right now, because you're in the restaurant business, and I understand when you would go into a restaurant, sir, you would go in and you would talk to, you know, a takeover business or a turnaround business. You would say to the employees, okay, we got to cut costs. How can you help us, right?
Right, absolutely. Well, that's the whole trick here is we can't just do it by ourselves. We've got to make sure that our workforce is with us. We've got to, if we're going to cut red tape in the size of government, we can't do that in isolation. We've got to get everybody working together.
And isn't that what Governor Walker was doing up in Wisconsin, where they've got that, you know, the law, which was found absolutely legal and should go forward in Wisconsin, which had stripped public employees of their collective bargaining rights. Governor Hickenlooper, wouldn't you say that that's what Governor Walker was trying to do with that?
Well, there are different approaches to these issues, and I think each of us have our own separate culture to deal with and our own separate approaches. We've been trying to focus on how do we get everybody working together and maybe make some of these significant changes a little more incrementally.
Sure. And Governor Walker, that's really, you want things to work in Wisconsin, but you know, you had these great big pensions and other things going forward. You had to make some changes.
Well, it's exactly right. And for us long term, to make an appeal to investors, to job creators in our state, we had a structural deficit, the largest ever 2 years ago. We've now wiped that out. We're going to have a surplus at the end of this budget cycle. And long term, I think investors want stability. They want to come into a state, whether it's Wisconsin, Colorado, Virginia, Texas, you name it. They want some sense of stability, and they want to know if they come and do business in that state, they're going to have the kind of support that they need. And I think today, that's why Democrats and Republican governors alike, we're coming together trying to figure out ways that we can promote economic growth at the state level, because it's not happening here in Washington.
Sure. And Governor McDonnell, the problem with unemployment is it's a bipartisan thing. You got people on both sides of the aisle and right down the middle of the aisle who are looking for work. And so far, the federal government has not been able to really get a handle on this.
No, but I think that's why governors are being so aggressive. I think that we understand that it's the private sector that creates wealth and opportunity. It's not the government. Washington seems to have just the opposite view with so much of this spending and excesses and mandates on states. And, you know, what we're doing in the states is to say we need to reduce all that bureaucracy that gets in the way of the job creators, the entrepreneur, the capitalists, the people that create all the opportunities, and let them do what they do best. And, you know, Washington hadn't quite got it yet, but we're working at it at the state level.
Well, you know, we could use the advice because we certainly need to create jobs. I mentioned a moment ago a bunch of governors are running for president. Any of the three of you interested in throwing your hat in the ring?
I nominate Hickenlooper.
John and I are new guys. We got our hands full, right? We're just happy getting people to work in our states.
We're going to cut the red tape and get people back to work first.
Okay. That's a good idea. Thank you very much. All right. You got an hour and 4 minutes to get across town over to the chamber. Governors Walker, McDonnell, and Hickenlooper, guys, thanks for joining us live.